All right, what's up, y'all? Some of you may be wondering, what the hell are we looking at this thing for? I thought we were done with that last video. If you haven't seen my chiseling video, it's up here in the top right-hand corner. I'll go ahead and link it now before I forget. And so yeah, I've still got my jig up. I've still got the stupid round corner latch. And I did not do my homework before this, but one of my subs, I can't remember who it was, but sorry, one of my subs asked about seeing the trim router. So let's take a look at doing this with a trim router. Now, and he asked that because I did it in a couple of other videos, one or two other videos. So I've got this clamped again. Hopefully it is firm enough for me to do what I got to do. Trim routers. I bought a Harbor Freight one like 10 years ago just to see, because I've never had a router. So I was like, well, I'll start with the baby router. And a trim router is basically a baby router that you use to do, trim work or whatever on. It comes with a fence and all that. However, my cord's about to break, so I may have to buy another one. This is a Drill Master Harbor Freight, I think maybe $20 trim router. It's very high pitched. This is a 120 volt motor, 400 watts, 2.4 amps, runs at 26,000 RPM. So this is a very rapidly moving blade. Now, I took this as your adjustment, and what that does is, let me make sure I'm in camera here. Yeah, that allows you to move it up and down. So basically, you would take your latch and you would just kind of hold it up to it like that and set it so that it is just deep enough. Usually only pokes up just a little bit, and then you're going to tighten your doodad down right here. Make sure that's tight, because you don't want it to suddenly get deeper when you're cutting. Now this cutting blade, this is a plain old 1/4 inch, I believe. Let's see what it is. There's a new one that I have not opened yet. Yep, 1/4 inch straight. Oh, damn, y'all can't see. There we go. This is a 1/4 inch straight router bit. They come bigger, which obviously will remove material faster, but as far as the size, this little 1/4 inch size is perfect for doing what we got to do. And you will notice, so this is the second router that I've had. I had to buy another one because the first one burned up. It's got a brush in there. I tried replacing the brush, but it literally just burned up, so it was dead. So again, Harbor Freight. I have thought about going and getting a branded one, DeWalt or somebody like that, or definitely a battery operated one would be cool. However, battery operated, the blade's going to start going slower. You're not going to have a constant. So you might notice a little bit of difference here. This is the guide that comes with it. So as you can see, I took it and I cut it in half, pretty much straight along that way. I could open it up a little bit more, but I was just like, whatever, cut it, it works. Now, the reason I did that, because if you're running with this makes you center it, here to here. If you're working with this, if you're doing a frame on the door, this, by cutting it, allows you to get right up next to the frame and then finish it with a chisel. So having it cut out like that both lets me kind of see what I'm doing a little bit better, and it allows me to butt up to a frame. You could go as far as cutting it even a little bit more to make it get right up on the frame, but a lot of frames have a rubber seal or rubber weather stripping, and you certainly do not want to do that. So the only downside to this, there's a couple of them. I'm going to go plug this in while I'm talking. But the only downside to this is it can be a violent mistake. And when I say a violent mistake, I mean If it gets out of control on you, then it is bad because it can, and it's highly dangerous too. So you definitely need ear protection because of the high-pitched whine, and you definitely need eye protection, and you need to be very slow and cautious with this. Again, take you a piece of wood, practice with this thing definitely before you get on a door, and make very light passes. So I'm going to go ahead and get this plugged in, move this in a little bit closer. Another bad thing about using the trim router is literally fine dust goes everywhere. Compared to chiseling, when you're running this, and you'll see I may even try to do a slow motion of the dust flying everywhere, but it goes in a much wider area because it's dusty. It's very fine compared to just chipping it out. However, for a really good mortise, especially with a round latch, you simply cannot beat a trim router if you are good at it. So, as with our slight mistakes, there's always going to be perfect installations, perfect cuts. There may be some that are a little bit over gap, as long as you don't go crazy. In fact, I just saw on, I think it was Crap Locksmithing, somebody had used a trim router and there were like terrible cuts all the way around it. So yes, it's definitely not for the faint of heart. You definitely have to practice, and you definitely have to go slow, and you definitely have to wear ear protection and eye protection. So let me get this plugged in. We'll go ahead and mark the line. I'll zoom in a little bit closer and we'll go. Okay, got it plugged in. This is tight, I know, but always double check your tightness between, even if you go from one cut to another, grab your wrenches that come with it. I keep them all in a little bag, and definitely come in and make sure that your blade is tight. It's tight. I know it's tight because I tightened it earlier. So first thing, and after you've modified that, let's see, I'm going to zoom in as best I can, and I'm also going to reduce the volume on this because I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. So if you have earphones on right now, hey, warning, earphones, turn your volume down. So I'm going to turn it on. You ready? Okay, so you can turn your volume back up now, and that is loud, it's ear piercing kind of, especially when you start cutting into the wood. That adds another little level. So I'm going to stop this, and I'm going to start it again just so I can reduce the volume. Then I'll stop and start and go back to my regular volume to save your ears. So here we go. Let's get set up, and we're going to go ahead and while I'm talking loudly, let's go ahead and do another mark. I knew I left this for a reason. I knew I didn't do all three for a reason. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to mark it again, angling in a little bit. Hope everybody's doing well today. I know a few of y'all are going to DEF CON. Mentioned this on Twitter earlier. Y'all have fun if you're doing that. So there's our mark, and we are simply gonna go in on that. Kind of keep it right there. Now, unfortunately, the guard is probably gonna block a lot of this. I'm gonna try to do, let me see if I can see in the camera. See, it's kind of shadowy. Let's readjust again. It's very difficult both getting the camera in a position where you can see, and there's not a lot of shadow or whatever on it, so all right, let's go ahead and get started. It's the best you'll be able to see. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go. Let me get my eye protection and my ear protection. Okay, I'm good on my ear and eye protection. Okay, there we go. So let's take a look and see how my results turned out. I did get a little too carried away on the edges, but compared to the other ones, that's the one with the curved chisel down there. Actually, it was lower as the camera. So this was with chisels, round, also the round chisels. This ended up kind of having to be square cornered out because I was using a razor knife to try to make the round corners. And lastly, let's go back up camera. Now I don't have my razor knife. Normally I would come in with either a chisel, which I don't happen to have one of those up here, or something, and get this little edge debris off. Usually a razor knife can clean that up, but I just don't have one here. So all right, so there is our trim router edition of mortising. Definitely gets our round corners better, but it is not ideal because you can easily lose control of that if you're not, super careful with a trim router. And the last thing you want to happen is to that. You don't want to do that. That will ruin your day and make you look like a complete idiot. So definitely get your practice in with your trim router. Definitely modify it. You will see what I mean when you try to use this on a frame. There's no way it's going to work. So literally, you can just cut it in half. Again, cheapy $20, $30 trim router from Harbor Freight. I've been using them for 10 years. That's my second one. And I guess I'm about to lose it because of the wiring here. I'm probably going to go ahead and tape that up. But functionally, it works fine. Of course, if you want to go with the better tool, I've been eyeing a couple of the other ones. But I don't know the sound. What I want is I would love a cordless one, like a 12 volt, rigid maybe brand, so you don't have to worry about the cord. But that is now, we're done with this. Y'all won't see this in any more videos. But again, thanks for watching. I probably should pause right now and find out who it was that asked about that. So sorry, I forgot who it was. I've got so much on my mind. So anyway, that is my whole final demonstration on chiseling. You may see me chiseling or mortising or installing in future videos. In fact, I'm sure you will. But as far as what I'm hoping to be somewhat of an educational thing, will let you guys know, give you better ideas on what to do to chisel, mortise, whatever you need to do. And, it's not going to be perfect 100% of the time, but as long as you don't do something like that and you get it really close and you do the best job you can and you clean up the area. If we look around here, what I mean, instead of it just falling into a nice pile on the floor, we have dust literally everywhere now. So the disadvantage of the trim router is the amount of dust, the amount of cleanup that you're going to have to deal with. But the advantage is, if you're good at it and if you go slow and carefully, then you can get a really nice mortise on the edge of your door. So I primarily use the trim router when I'm working on like the ultra fancy doors. Not that cheap doors are not worthy of it, but when you're working with like, cedar or some kind of exotic door or an antique door, it's best to do the best you can. So thanks for watching, guys. Y'all have a great one. See you next video. Hello.